Okay, suppose Pat deposits $2,700 into a savings account that earns 1% interest compounded quarterly. Use the compound interest formula to answer the following. How much money will Pat have in the account after 6 years, rounding to the nearest cent? And then it's asking how much more money would Pat have had in the account after 6 years if the interest was compounded monthly. So this is an exponential equation. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't. Let's just go over what everything is. A is the amount after the investment. So after the 6 years, how much is he going to have? So we're solving for it. P is the principal. That's what you first invest. Okay, so he first invested $2,700. That's the principal. I'm just going through the variables. 1 is 1. R is the interest rate. %% interest. Okay, well, we've done this before. We don't put percentages in equations. We need this to be a decimal. So 1%, I'm going to take the 1 and make it a decimal. I'm going to put a decimal after it and move it back twice. Okay, so 1% in an equation is really 0.01. Okay, our next variable is n. So n is the number of times the interest is compounded in 1 year. So what does that mean? Compounded means how many times the bank hits the interest, so you're going to get your interest payment. So that's what this means, compounded quarterly. So how many quarters are in a dollar? Quarter means 4. Okay, so 4 times a year the bank is going to pay you the 1% interest based on your balance. Okay, so n, and this is 4. And then our last variable here, r over n, n times t. So t is time in years. And that tells us 6 years. Alright, so now we're just going to put it in the formula. So A equals, sorry, I'm going back and forth, P 1 plus R over N, 0.01 over 4, then N times T is the exponent. So this whole problem is just knowing what the variables mean and what numbers to put into them. And then it's a simple calculator problem. So 2,700 parentheses 1 plus 0.01 divided by 4, close parentheses, shift 6 is my exponent. 4 times, see how I brought it down? That means I need to put my exponent in parentheses, 4 times 6. And I'm rounding to the nearest cent, so 0.74. 2866. 0.74. So after 6 years with a 1% interest, that's a very low interest, they made $166.74. Alright. How much more money would Pat have had in the account after 6 years, so we're still doing 6 years, if the interest was compounded monthly? So how many months are in a year? Because n is the number of times the interest is compounded in 1 year. So if it's monthly, that means the n equals 12. So we're going to do this whole thing again, except now n equals 12. So we still have 2700, 1 plus 0.01, but now n is 12. So 12 times 6. And I'm just going to go change my 4s to 12s. 2866.89. Okay, we're rounding. So that's 7. And the question's not asking for this, it's asking how much more would they make. So we're comparing these two answers. So I'm going to take the bigger one and subtract the smaller one. 9 minus 4 is 5, 8 minus 7 is 1, and this is all 0. So, quarterly to monthly is a whole 15-cent difference.